Hey everybody, Alex here for Nerdy Inc. coming at you with another episode of Our Favorite Frontier, the only Star Trek podcast on the internet that's hosted by me and Nick. Hey Nick.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I've been better. I fell
Why?
down the stairs and I popped my shoulder out, so I am bedridden. So I had nothing to do besides watch some Star Trek.
Well, speaking of people with arms they can't use, we watched the episode The Arsenal of Freedom, a transition that will make sense after we discuss the episode.
Captain's log, stardate 41798.2. We have been ordered by Starfleet to proceed to the Lorenz cluster and investigate the disappearance of the light cruiser USS Drake, which was in that system trying to unravel a mystery of its own, which began when recent long-range probes indicated that all intelligent life on the planet Minos had disappeared.
Nick, what did you think of The Arsenal of Freedom?
I thought the Arsenal of Freedom at least had a story I could follow slightly, but it still lacked a lot of depth. I thought. I felt like, yeah, there was a story I could follow, but I also felt like nothing was happening most of the time. Still.
I utterly hated this episode. I hated it mainly because it could have been so good if they had focused on literally one thing. I didn't feel like there was a core heart to this story. I felt like there was like three or four stupid things going on, three or four things that were surface level going on. And when you put them all together, you have a bunch of surface level story and no heart or core or anything interesting, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go through and talk about one subplot right now. There's a subplot, which is the Enterprise, all the senior officers leave the Enterprise. Data's gone, Tasha Yar's gone, and of course Riker and Picard are gone. And Crusher. So it's really everyone. And what that leaves is Geordi LaForge is now in charge of the Enterprise. And it's really his first time we've seen him in command on the Enterprise. And he doesn't really have a handle on things. But then he sort of figures it out by the end, and he blows up the thing in space. Had they not spent so much time on the planet dealing with the shrimp robots and the salesman guy and Picard and Beverly Crusher's broken arm, there's the transition, and Riker and Tasha Yar and Data trying to figure out how to blow up these things, you could have just said, hey, everyone's down on the planet, they got trapped, they got supplies, LaForge has to be the captain. I would have loved a LaForge-centric episode that focuses on him struggling to be captain, failing, making some decisions and failing in a very public way, and having him sort of have to re-earn the trust of the temporary crew as he works his way through the Enterprise. That would have been a really good character episode. But instead, we just see...
Well, the issue I have with that... The issue I have with that is I don't think we have episodes of that much carry on or carry over depth where there's nothing really that we've seen that is kind of flashback to another episode to like kind of like, oh, this happened in that episode. There's no continuation aspect. So I feel like that would be an interesting way to do an episode, but I feel like that wouldn't have been the style of this season. So that would have felt out of place. It would have been good, mind you, from the generation of television that we're into these days. But I don't think that like type of thing would have ever really happened in 1987.
What if I told you that episodes similar to what I described will be coming up in later TNG?
Well, it's just not a season one thing. They can't even write an episode, let alone two episodes that correlate with each other.
Yeah, well, no, it would be one episode. But I would just, rather than spending so much time with these robots that are learning and all this stuff about Beverly Crusher, just say, the crew's stranded, and just have the core, most of the episode be centered around Geordi LaForge just trying to work through command.
It would have been a way better episode.
Yeah, and that's why I hated this episode, is because every time I got into Geordi's, I was like, come on, I would love to see, he's really struggling, he's trying to figure it out, and then it cuts back to Beverly Crusher's like, oh yeah, look at those roots. Those roots can heal me. Give me more of those roots.
Wish I had some roots.
I wish you did too. So that's my big complaint, and that's the story on the Enterprise. Nick, what was going on down on the planet?
Down the planet, Riker's buddies' ship, the Drake, I believe, crashed onto this planet, and there was no signs of life, so they went down to check it out because they got a sales transmission from this creepy dude, and it was a planet that was kind of selling arms to other planets, and they believe that something's going on fishy. And we later find out that the weapons kind of controlled themselves and started destroying the planet. But they go down there, they see Riker's buddy, who is clearly just a hologram trying to get information to use against them, and then Yar, Picard, and Riker are just being attacked by shrimp robots. And, well, not Picard, because Picard, he's in the cave with Beverly, and she breaks her arm. Or whatever, and her leg, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, so Riker, Yar, and Data, they're being attacked. And that's the episode.
This episode was especially frustrating for me coming back as a veteran of TNG because Picard... Did you... Okay. What would you say Picard and Crusher's relationship was like in this episode? Was there any sort of anything going on between those two?
They're definitely, like, relating to some sort of past. But, I mean, that's what I got. I got, like, this thing where they were... You know, they have a past relationship, and they were just kind of also working through those problems at the same time.
There's something unspoken going on between the two.
Yeah. Also, interesting thing, when after Picard starts getting the roots and he starts applying them to Beverly, if you don't look at the screen, it sounds like a Picard Crusher sex scene. Because I was on my phone for like 6 seconds, and I just heard... Crusher screaming and Picard using some terms that could be used as a sexual nature as well. So I found that humorous. Other than that, that was probably the highlight of the episode.
Yeah, this episode is... The thing that's funny about this episode is there's another episode, I want to say it's late TNG, either 6 or 7, where Picard and Beverly Crusher get stranded and injured again in like a cave. And they realize, oh, there's like some weird, awkward sexual tension here. And they actually form an episode about their relationship. Almost like you would do if you had characters that you understood and were writing for. Yeah, overall, I think that's my biggest problem with this episode is you had something that could have been interesting on the Enterprise, which was LaForge working through his struggles with leadership. You could have had Picard and Beverly Crusher working through their sort of weird, unspoken relationship.
Yeah, they could have worked on that way more. I feel like they did kind of touch on it, like, slightly to the point, like, yeah, we know that, but that's it.
Yeah. Or the alternative is you could have had them focus on some actually interesting science thing, which is, oh my God, there's robots that we need to destroy because they'll kill us, but if we destroy it, it comes back stronger. So how do you stop something from killing you without, like, there could have been a good actual science-y adventure thing there.
Mm-hmm. But instead they just told the salesman to turn off the demonstration, and then it was over.
Yeah, Picard came across really stupid to me in this episode.
Because he's not the captain.
Well, even then, even when he was being the captain, it's when the guy comes up on the view screen at the beginning, and it's very clearly a recording. Picard keeps trying to talk to it, and Data's like, sir, you're embarrassing yourself. This is just a recording.
He was acting like a grandparent getting a call from a automated telemarketer.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was embarrassing. And then him and Data are working through this big thing, and Beverly Crusher, who's fucking wonked out on roots over there, just goes, why don't you fucking tell him to shut it off? And Picard's like, could that work? And then he's like, the guy's like, yeah, I can shut it off. And Picard's like, can buy one? And Picard's like, I'll buy one. And he's like, shut it off. And it's like, these are all very simple solutions, Picard.
No. Well, it's just, you're right. It probably could have been better. But again, you see far in the future, as I am only seeing this track by track, where the episodes are getting better as they go on. Not saying they're good, but every episode lately I feel like has been better than the last. So I feel like the people are getting, more of a feel for their characters. So I'm starting to feel it more. So I get enjoyment out of episodes that you might necessarily find really bad. Like, even though there was nothing going on here, I still enjoyed it. I kind of liked the LaForge thing. I liked that he was being challenged by that Logan guy, and he was being a huge dick to him. But I kind of like that because those are things I haven't seen these characters do yet. So I'm kind of getting introductions of stuff like that where, you've seen it all.
I will say, after I was thinking about this in the first couple minutes of the show, right before Picard officially beams down, I think the characters are really starting to settle in at this point with their roles on the ship. Counselor Troy did counselor stuff finally. She said, "I advise against this. I need to sort of guide you into how to do your role." Picard was doing some captainy things. Overall, it seems like some of the characters are getting into their groove, and you understand where they're coming from a bit more. The only one who, Worf has really gotten the short end of the stick. We haven't seen a whole lot of Worf yet. We've only had, 1 or 2 Worf episodes?
I think we've had only one Worf episode.
Yeah, and then LaForge, the big change with LaForge will happen next season, because right now his role on the Enterprise is not what it is for the rest of the show. He eventually becomes the chief engineer, and I think that suits him far better. And because of that, you get some more fun, sciencey problems now that you have someone who understands science actually doing science stuff. Once those characters spread out and sort of fan out on the Enterprise and do more things, it's great. But right now the cast feels very cluttered to me. The good news is this is episode 21, and we're almost done. We're really almost done. We'll be done by the end of the month.
Is it sad that when they were talking about roots, I was like, oh, Kunta Kinte, and he's
he could have solved the problem immediately.
That's right.
Get Geordi LaForge down here.
Yeah, he knows all about roots.
He does know all about roots. No, that's not bad at all. It was funny that, I don't know why I found it funny, but I just had a goofy smile on my hand. Was when Picard was touching the roots.
A goofy smile on your hand? Do you say goofy smile on your hand?
Maybe I did. What I meant to say was I had a goofy smile on my face when Beverly told him to rub the root on his hand. Something about having a classically trained Shakespearean actor go, "My skin is turning yellowish." It just made me laugh. I don't know why. It's not a bad line. That's how a character would respond to their skin turning yellowish. But it just made me, that was funny.
Oh boy. I'm saying this show has a long way to go, especially if you keep speaking so highly of it.
Yeah. No, it's going to get good. But I guess maybe that's why I hated this episode and you were just kind of like, it was all right, was because I saw the nugget of, that would have been an episode in later TNG. This would have been an episode, or it would have been this. They would have this wasn't a focused episode. It was just sort of.
Yeah.
But any other closing points?
Yeah.
No.
No.
All right. Well, we have a very special episode coming up next week. The episode is called Symbiosis. I have no idea what the plot of the episode is, but it's a beer that you got me for Christmas.
That is correct.
And
the Star Trek Next Generation 30th anniversary. At work, we had an event for it, and I was the only one dressed up in Star Trek stuff, and I felt like a freaking idiot. You can find a picture online. We might just post a picture on the video on YouTube of it so you can visually see it, but I know this is mostly an audio podcast.
Yeah.
We'll use a thumbnail.
We'll tweet it.
Let's tweet it.
We'll tweet it. Note to future Alex, when you're editing this, dig up that picture and get it ready to tweet. Well, I guess that's all we have to say then.
That's all.
I got distracted. I got distracted because I have the Wikipedia page up so I can know what number episode this is. And it said, apparently Dan Curry created the model of the drone seen in the episode using a pantyhose container and a shampoo bottle. Wow, boy, glad we're giving our A game here on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, well, it looks like no one really gave a shit about their jobs then. Who was the actor who played the salesman? Who was he?
Who played who?
Could you look that up? The salesman.
The actor who played. I'm not positive how to pronounce his last name. Vincent Schiavelli.
And what is he famous for? I feel like I've seen him.
He was in Fredrickson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and he was Mr. Vargas in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He was the subway ghost in Ghost.
That's the principal in Fast Times.
Yeah, he was also an organ grinder in Batman Returns. He was Chester in The People vs. Larry Flint. He was Dr. Kaufman in Tomorrow Never Dies. And he was the ABC executive Maynard Smith in Man on the Moon.
Yep, that's what it is.
Man on the Moon, you know him?
Yep. I just watched that. Cool. I watched that movie the other day.
I was just going through his Wikipedia page since I had it open.
Why not?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about does it.
That about does it. Join us next week while we don't drink the beer because I drank it already, but we discuss the episode Symbiosis.
I will drink the beer while we do the episode.
All right. That'll work.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
And so we will see you next week. Like, comment, subscribe, anything at all to let us know how we're doing is much appreciated, and we will see you next time.
Take care.
Our Favorite Frontier is hosted by Alex Russo and Nick Caladona, edited by Alex Russo, and produced by Nerdy Inc. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all of our videos, as well as like us on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other social media we have.